It's great to have you here. I hope you're doing well. And I've decided to put together some of my absolute best drills of all time that you can do right from home. So whether you're working from your living room or your backyard, each of these drills you can do from the comfort of your home. I can't wait to show them to you because I know they can shave a lot of strokes off your game without having to go to the golf course. Let's go and get started. Hey guys, welcome back. Now, most parts of the country, it's getting a little bit cold this time of year, and it's great to have some drills to practice on in the winter. So these are in the comfort of your living room. If you have a little small net that you could put up, maybe in your garage, you have a pop-up net, and even with just a little small indoor piece of turf that you can swing off of, some AstroTurf, that kind of thing. I'm going to give you some great drills. It's going to help you to improve your game. Now, a lot of times I see players practice inside, and they do a lot of slow motion drills. We're doing a lot of pausing. We're trying to work on different parts of our swing. We're hitting into the net, and we really can't see our ball flight. So maybe we develop some bad habits. Maybe we start to hit some big slices without realizing it. And we don't want to find out until springtime when it warms up and we go out and we're slicing the ball out of bounds every time. Maybe we're hitting some snap hooks and we don't realize it. Well, we have to have some immediate feedback. In order to improve, we have to have a clear-cut way of measuring, are we getting better or are we getting worse? And a lot of times indoors, we're just kind of going off of what feels good, what we think is good. Even with a mat, maybe sometimes you're hitting way behind the ball on the mat and you don't realize it until you get back out to some real grass and you're just chunking every shot. So practicing indoors in the winter won't necessarily make you better unless you have some things to give you feedback, and that's what we're going to go over today. I'm also going to include something called variability training. So the research, the scientific research out there shows, most of the studies I've seen, this is going to help you to improve your progress 500% all the way up to 1,000%. So we're talking 5 to 10 times faster as far as how fast you're going to improve as you're working indoors. So we want to improve faster. We want to actually get somewhere. There's going to be some great drills. So the first one I have here is what's called the flat ball. So this is a pretty cool, it's made by Izzo Golf. I think I picked this one up just at Dick's Sporting Goods. I just bought a little pack of 6 of them or so. And this is pretty cool because it's going to give me immediate feedback of where I'm hitting the ground. And here's what I want you to do. Go ahead and throw this on your little AstroTurf mat that you have. And these don't go too hard. I mean, as long as you have something to stop them, it's going to be fine. I mean, it shouldn't, you don't have to have a big heavy-duty net or anything like that. Sometimes if you don't have the space to hit a real golf ball, this would be great. So I'm going to lay this on the ground. Now, there's 3 different drills. Remember, we're talking about variability training here. The first drill, I'm going to set this up where it's my traditional ball position, kind of off my left ear, logo of my shirt. Now, on the first swing, I'm going to go ahead and try to swing over top of this. So when I come down and I hit over top of this, I'm hitting the ball, this flat ball, and the ground at the same time. That's going to kind of pop up like that. It's not going to shoot forward. Or I could even go a little more exaggerated and just completely miss it and hit the ground all the way in front of the ball. So that's going to be our first variable. Once we've done a successful rep of that, now I'm going to go ahead and hit actually behind the ball. Now, if we're using an AstroTurf mat, we might bounce up off the mat and come in and miss this flat ball altogether. Or we may just feel like we hit the mat and then hit the flat ball as it's farther forward. But either way, we're going to get some feedback. We're going to get some feel. And then on the third swing, we're going to come down and hit it clean. So it should look like this. The very first one, I'm going to swing over top of it. There we go. You see I clipped the top of the flat ball, but I didn't actually hit it solid. It didn't hardly go anywhere. The second one, I'm going to work on hitting behind it. I'm not going to do that one because it could still shoot off here, and I don't want to have to chase it down for this video. The third one, I'm going to hit the ground and this flat ball at the same time, and you're going to kind of hear it spin off into the air. There we go. And it only went probably 15, 20 feet. If you're practicing these in your backyard, they'd be completely fine too. But what I'm doing, the reason I'm varying this, and the reason it helps you to improve so much faster is I'm developing a feel. I'm learning how to control this golf club and get it to do what I want it to do rather than what it wants to do on its own or whatever, those bad habits start to pop into there. So I'm learning to hit farther in front, to hit farther behind. That way, if I go out to the golf course, let's say I hit a couple thin shots that aren't exactly like I want, I know how to get the divot a little farther back. Let's say that I chunk a few. We've all been there before. I know how to get the divot a little farther forward. So practicing over the winter, several months doing this, just a few minutes a day, makes a big difference. Now the second thing we're going to talk about is the same idea, variability training. I'm going to take out a Sharpie. I can use a dry erase marker. If you have Dr. Scholl's foot spray, so it's like a foot powder you spray in your shoe, you can spray that on the club face, and that's going to show you where you hit the ball also. For this drill, I'm going to use a Sharpie, which takes a little while to come off your club face, so keep that in mind. You may want to use a practice club if you're going to use a Sharpie. But I'm just going to draw a line, a black line, right up the middle where the 3 lines on this range ball are. So you see that black line is now right in the middle. So when I set this up, I'm going to set this black line up dead square. So if I was going to hit this ball dead square toward my target, then I'm going to set that black line up perfectly with that. Now on this first swing, I'm going to go ahead and hit one off the toe. I'm purposely going to hit it off the toe. There's several ways that you could do this, and we'll kind of go over some different variations of this. Whenever I see people struggling to hit it off the heel or the toe, let's say I'm struggling, I'm hitting it too far off the heel, maybe I even get some shanks. We've all been there before. It's not a lot of fun. But let's say I'm hitting some shanks and the ball's going off the hosel. I'll see a lot of times people start to line up with this ball more and more toward the toe, and then they still come up out of it, they still hit it off the hosel. No matter how far away they get, you know, that's kind of your typical stop shanking it advice. And, you know, before long you're out here like this and you're still shanking it. So we gotta be able to control our club. Remember, we gotta get the club to control, or be able to control the club, get it to do whatever we want to do, rather than us being the victim of whatever the club's doing to us. So I've got this line on there, and what I want you to do is I actually want you to set up a little bit towards the heel, towards the hosel like that, and I want you to purposely hit one off the toe. So this may be a little bit difficult at first, but eventually you'll get there. So this time, setting up off the hosel, trying to hit off the toe of the club. There we go, and that was well off the toe. I got so far off the toe on that one that it's actually off the grooves. So I really exaggerated it there. I set the ball up here. When I came back down and swung, I hit it way off the toe, really exaggerated. That's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We're starting out by doing the extremes, and then we're going to fine tune it. So this time, I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to go ahead and draw that line down the middle line of my range ball. I'm going to set that up, and I'm going to do the exact opposite of what I did last time. I'm going to set this one up off the toe and hit a little bit off the heel. So make sure you get that lined up correctly so it'll put the mark on there. So now I'm lining up toward the toe. Let's try to go a little bit more toward the hosel. If I shank one, no big deal. That's completely fine. There we go, just inside the hosel. And we can see now, if I get this, sorry, the club face is kind of dirty. I think you can still see that. See how it's inside the sweet spot, that black line right there. So there's the toe, there's my heel shot. Now I'm going to try to hit one in the center. So for the third one, I'm going to line up the club face in the center, and I'm going to try to hit it in the center. So when we first start out, it's okay to line up with the ball heel toe, and really the reason I'm trying to get you guys to do these extremes is to gain some feel and some control on this golf club. We don't need to be changing it this much. So as you get more advanced with this drill, you can set up with the golf ball right in the middle of the face, hit it a little off the heel, a little bit off the toe, and then in the center. So this time, let's see if I can get a nice center strike. I'll do the best that I can here. A little off the toe on that one again. So I'll try to go a little bit more toward the heel. So I was just barely off the toe. You can see I'm probably a 1/4 inch or so, a little bit too much toward the toe side. So I try to work that toward the center. So as you get more advanced with this, you know, I'm using really exaggerated. There's the toe, there's the heel, there's a little bit towards the toe, and I'm gonna work towards center here. As I get more advanced, maybe this would be my toe shot, this would be my heel shot, and then there would be my center one. So I don't have to go to these extremes. When you're working on it at first, go to these extremes. Try to hit it way off the heel and the toe so that you can gain some awareness of your club face and improve your game quite a bit. So finally, we talked about how to work the ball, our contact, variability training, hitting in front of the ball, behind the ball, get rid of those thin shots and those chunks. We talked about how to hit the ball more off the heel and the toe, try to get it more solid toward the middle of the face. What about our technique? So we haven't really talked about much technique at all. And as you know, if you're a member of the Top Speed Golf website, we have the 5 keys that are the most important fundamentals to the golf swing. So we're going to focus in on one of those, and we're going to take this same variability training. Let's talk about shoulder turn. And as you're in your living room, you know, with the system, I want you to go ahead and get about a 90-degree shoulder turn, even a little bit more if you're flexible enough. Now, we're going to feel this by going to the extremes here again. I want you to make a half shoulder turn to where you're not really rotating at all. Your hips aren't going to move much, your shoulders aren't going to move much, and then you're still going to try to swing on through. So watch my shoulders on this one. I'll go nice and slow so you guys can see this. Back. I mean, really hard to get some speed with that kind of a shoulder turn. It's just too short. There's no way to generate the speed. As I wind up farther, then I'm going to have more time, more room to accelerate the club, making a bigger arc. If I put the same amount of effort over a longer period of time, I get more acceleration, I get more energy into this club. So now, Let's take it to the other extreme. Big, long backswing. And for those of you who aren't very flexible, get that left heel to lift up a little bit, and you're going to be able to get a lot more speed into it. So let's go to the other extreme here. There we go, really hammered that one. I tried to get a big turn, probably got well past 90 on that one. That's what I want you to practice on the other one. So we're using that variability training to get a feel. Again, we're not trying to do it perfect. We're trying to get a feel for what's too much, what's not enough, and then we can improve it from there. So work on these variability drills, go out there, play great, guys, and best of luck practicing your golf game this winter. Hey guys, welcome back. Great to have you here today. In today's video, we're going to talk about probably the most important piece of golf, which is making good solid contact, especially when we're talking about hitting any shot off the ground. Getting that ground and ball contact happening at the same time so we can really compress the golf ball. Now the neat part about this video is I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to talk about a couple of mental tricks where you don't have to worry about changing your technique at all. That's going to help you out with this. And then we're also going to get into the technique side so that we can really focus on what's causing me to hit the ball or the ground behind the ball. Let's start with the technique, and then we'll go with a couple of those mental tricks here at the end. So let's imagine I'm setting up this golf ball. If I'm hitting behind the ball, or when I have inconsistent contact, most of the time what's happening is I'm kind of falling back to the right. I'm tending to cast the club, and I'm hitting the ground behind the ball. I'm chunking the shot, and then the ball just kind of dribbles up a few feet, or I could even chunk and almost miss the ball. And then if I miss the ground, then I'm actually coming up and kind of hitting the ball thin because my club's actually moving up as it's hitting the ball. Both of those are going to be really tough to get consistent if we're doing that type of a motion. We'd have to time up that perfect flip of the golf club to get that ground and ball contact at the same time. Very difficult to do. We could also be coming in pretty steep and chopping down into the ball, where this way I'm hitting behind the ball, I'm hitting on top of the ball, and I'm very inconsistent there too. That's very common with an over-the-top move. Club starts coming in too steep, right shoulder's coming down over top of the ball. So those are all common things. Now in today's video, we're going to talk about kind of how to fix all of that, or the overall idea of how that's going to work perfectly. So whenever we are coming over the top, or whenever we're not getting to the left side, we tend to not have enough forward shaft lean. I got a great training aid here. And what's happening with both of these scenarios, so if I'm coming over the top steep, or I'm falling back to the right, in both cases, I'm going to have to kind of flip the club. If I'm coming in steep in my very over-the-top swing, I'm going to stand up and flip the club so that I kind of shallow out that swing and don't slam the club into the ground. If I'm falling back to the right, I'm going to have to flip the club just to be able to reach the ball. So this training aid is going to help with both of those. This is called an impact snap. You don't have to have this training aid, but man, it makes it a lot easier to learn this type of motion. So we're going to grab this with our hands, our thumbs kind of working down the top of the grip, just like you would with a normal club. You'll see that the pad, the meaty part of my hand here, is at the bottom of this grip on top of it. So just like I would hold a normal club, even though it's a square grip, the same idea here. Now, as I go to the top, I'm going to go ahead and let this club start to set, increasing that set as I'm coming down. And you'll notice there's a yellow ball on the other end of this. As I come through impact, or as I come into my right thigh, notice how my left hand still has a good angle in it. Notice how my hand is starting to turn down this way. So if I have a cupped wrist, if I'm looking like this, I'm wide open with the face. I'm not going to be able to square that face up. So what we have to do is we have to turn that wrist down, and then as we release that club, this ball on this impact snap trainer is going to hit right into the back of my forearm. So you see right there on the back of my forearm, that should smack into that. So again, let's go over this. I'm going to come down, increasing my wrist set. As I'm coming into contact and into the release, not until I get in front is that ball going to hit my hand. So if I do this back here, I'm rolling the club too early. I want to have forward shaft lean, then it's going to hit the back of my forearm as I'm at my straight line release. So if you remember the Top Speed Golf system, you know that's one of the 5 keys. We got to get this club releasing out in front at about a 45-degree angle in front of that golf ball. So I'm going to really feel like that pairs up with when this yellow ball hits the back of my forearm. So here I have a lot of lag. This is well off my forearm, big sharp angle of the wrist. As I'm coming through, it's hitting it up there. Now you'll notice my hips have to keep on moving. If I stop my hips, if I'm falling back and I stop my hips, I'm really going to have a hard time getting up there. I need to keep my hips rotating through the shot so that I can let that happen at the right time. So my hips, my shoulders, my forearms, everything's coming to that straight line release, 45 out in front. So a great training aid with this. Now if we take this exact same motion and we take that over to an iron, Now we're going to have a lot of lag coming in with a good angle of lag and then releasing that out in front. So that's going to keep us from falling back, where naturally if we have a lot of this lag, we're going to want to come forward, get our weight to the left and release out in front. And if we're coming in steep, notice how this makes us shallow out the club. So if I'm looking from this angle, I'm going to go ahead and have this club shallowing out. My left wrist is nice and flat, and then I'm coming in from here and releasing it. So that would look something like this. If I grab my club and swing this way, I'm shallowing out that club, then releasing it out in front. So that's the technique side of it. Really work on getting that club shallow, lots of forward shaft lean, and then keeping the hips moving to get everything coming down and through on the front of the ball. When I get the result from this, I'm going to have my club coming down, and I'm going to visualize like my club is hitting the ground, pinching the turf at the same time that I'm hitting the ground. That's what I'm going to feel. And if I hit a perfect shot, I'm going to have a nice thin long divot this square with my target. That's the technique side, but what are some mental tricks? You know, let's say that we're doing the technique, we understand it, but our mind just isn't being able to picture it correctly. Well, I got a couple of pretty cool devices. You can use a scorecard or just a piece of paper. And all I want you to do is to place this piece of paper, depending on how long the grass is. If the grass is fairly short, just about 2 or 3 inches behind your golf ball. Now I should be able to come down, give myself a little bit more room there, that way I can clear that paper and still come down and make contact. I should be able to clear that piece of paper and still make contact with the ball. So it's about a club head width, maybe a little bit more than that. So now I'm going to first move my golf ball out of the way, and I'm just going to brush the grass in front of this piece of paper. With that feedback there, I get the feeling that if I start to flip, I'm going to hit that right away. So naturally, I'm going to keep my hips moving. I'm going to keep my wrist angled forward just so I won't hit that piece of paper. I'll do this, you know, a good 4 or 5 times. You can see I started my divot up here, but I didn't hit the paper at all. Once you're comfortable with that, again, you can use a scorecard, whatever you want to use. I'm going to put my golf ball there. And again, around 4 inches, somewhere around there. If the grass is tall and that paper's sitting up off the ground quite a bit, you're going to have to scoot it back a little bit more. If the grass is really thin, like if you're hitting off a putting green, for example, you could have it a little closer to the ball. So you just find a zone to where you feel like gives you plenty of room to swing over top of the paper. It's more of a visual aid, a visual cue to naturally get you more to the left. And I'm going to go ahead and hit this golf ball without clipping the paper. There we go. So we saw the paper moved a little bit just because my club, the wind from my club, but if I hit the paper, it's going to look a lot different. So this time I'm going to flip and I'm going to hit that paper first, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. There we go. So the paper shoots up, immediate feedback. You're not going to want that to happen. You end up with kind of a crumpled up mess here. So that's the first drill. Very easy. You'd be surprised. You put a piece of paper down there, put a scorecard down there, and automatically you're going to start swinging farther in front without even really having to think about the technique too much. Now the next one is a great training device, really simple, and this is great for winter practice too. It's called the flat ball, and all it is a piece of plastic. It's very durable, same shape as a golf ball, it's just flat. What I can do is I can put this on my little practice mat at home. Even if you have one of those little 2 foot by 1 foot practice mats, one thing that I recommend doing if you're going to practice indoors in the winter is always have some kind of target, something on the ground that's going to give you some feedback. I don't ever want to make dry swings into the air over and over and over again, because I can really do some weird things with my swing and I won't get the feedback of making contact with the ball. So here, I'm going to put that ball on the ground. If I swing over top of the ball, then it's either going to pop up or kind of squirt off like that to the right. So I don't want that to happen. That means that I basically swung down and I hit on top. My club and my ball met at the same time in the front of it, and it just flips like that. If I hit behind the ball, if I chunk it, then my club is going to tend to bounce right over that, especially with a mat, because the mat tends to have the club bounce a little bit. Then I'm gonna kind of hit that mat behind it and bounce right over this flat ball. If I do this correctly, I'm going to clip the ground and the ball at the same time. And you can hear it had a nice like swooshing sound. It's going to take off. It's not very dangerous. It doesn't take off all that speed, all that fast or hard, so you can put just anything to stop it right in front of you, and you're going to be able to practice that ground contact time and time again, even if you're on your living room. That way when you go back out to the course, you've really ingrained the perfect time of hitting the ground. So if we put these keys together, keep those hips moving, get that forward shaft lean, and then give those visual cues to help you improve faster, you're gonna make some great contact. All right guys, best of luck. See y'all soon. All right guys, I got a great video for you all to get better control of your golf club. That's what golf is all about. How can we control this golf club? I'm gonna lead you through 5 days of drills in this fairly short video, and I want you just to practice these. I know it's not gonna be comfortable at first, but I guarantee you, if you actually follow these drills, you'll be better at the end of this. You'll have better control of your golf club. So one of the biggest misconceptions in golf, in my opinion, is that we're just gonna be able to set up to this ball. Once we ingrain a perfect golf swing, we're gonna be able to set up, make that same swing every time, and that ball is just going to fly off the face. It's going to be solid, it's going to be long, it's going to have the perfect ball flight, and it's going to happen the same every single day. Well, I can tell you, that day never comes. It never happens. We're always having to adjust our ball flight. You'll look at the best players in the world, and they're working on hitting the ball high, low, left, and right, and they're constantly fine-tuning their ball flight because things are always off track. You're going to be a great golfer, you know, shooting many rounds in the 60s, and you're going to set up on the very first swing of the day, make a swing that you're trying to hit a draw, and all of a sudden it fades off a little bit to the right, or maybe it's going a little too high, or maybe it's going too low. I mean, it could be a little bit different every single day. So the key here is to understand how are we going to adjust this club face, how are we going to adjust our path with momentum. We're going to actually let momentum do this instead of us trying to you know, adjust this with our hands. And then that way we can always fine tune and get those perfectly struck golf shots after a few practice swings. So the very first piece of this is being able to feel when the club face is closed. So when my club face is closed like this, and when my club face is open. I want you to go ahead and set up with a stick straight ahead in the distance as you're at the driving range. And the first day as we're doing these drills, what we're going to focus on doing is really feel like the momentum of the club is going to let this toe turn on over. So I'm not going to really worry about where this ball goes. I'm going to go ahead and turn the toe on over until my shot flies directly 60 or 70 degrees to the left. So as I do this, my club face is going to close down. Again, I want to feel like the momentum of the club is letting that face turn on over. I don't want to take my hands and kind of steer it as I'm doing that. I'm going to let the momentum turn it on over, and I'm going to swing fairly straight ahead as I'm doing this, and I want that ball to go way to the left. Just like that. So that ball, big hook to the left, not a good shot, but I'm learning how to feel that club face closing down. What's really happening there when I say momentum, as you swing your golf club, you're either going to swing a little bit more inside and let the face roll, or you're going to tend to swing more outside or over the top and have that face to be open. That's just naturally going to kind of happen. Also, as my hands slow down as I'm coming through contact, that helps the face to roll on over. And if I really feel like I'm dragging my hands through, that face is going to be held wide open. That's when you get the shots that really fade out to the right. That's actually because your hands are accelerating too quickly through contact. You're not giving that face time to turn on over. So as I'm working on these shots, again, I'm working on that momentum, closing that face down. And really try to do as much as you can. Feel like you're going to hit yourself in the lead shin as you're practicing that. Now, on the opposite feeling, I'm going to go ahead and set up here, and I'm going to let that face open back up. Now, the one that I closed down, I can go ahead and play it kind of in the normal position in my stance. The one that I'm going to open up, it's a little easier if you get your feet a little bit more open, and I play the ball a little bit more up in my stance. That's naturally going to get this club working back into the left. And again, I'm not going to try to guide or steer this. My hands are going to be nice and relaxed, and I'm going to try to get this ball to start about 45 degrees to the right. I do want to have a little bit of forward shaft lean as I do this. That way the ball doesn't go super high. But again, I'm going really, really extreme here, and I'm going to go 45 way out to the right like that. So I swung pretty straight ahead, but my face was way open and it flew off to the right. So hit about 10 balls, really extreme. Again, I'm not trying to force the club head. I'm letting it happen, and I'm really trying to go way to the right, way to the left. Take your next 10 balls, and this is on the first day, and then I want you to go ahead and tone that down. Hit them a little bit straighter. And these first ones, we're just going to hit about 50-yard shots. As we get better and we start to take more full swings, I want you to go ahead and swing faster and faster, and then you're still going to alternate. One left, one right, one left, one right. And that's all with the face angle, closing and opening the face. Now what I want you to do, on day 2, after we practice the face angle on day 1, day 2, I want you to go ahead and just try the path of the club. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set this stick up. What used to be straight ahead, I'm going to point it well out to the right. I'm going to set my feet up pretty square. I'm going to have to put the ball back in my stance. All right, because if I'm gonna swing out to the right, I got to be able to get, my right leg can't be in the way, so I got to put it back in my stance. Let's go ahead and set this ball back up here. My feet are square again, and that ball's almost on the inside of my back foot as I'm doing this. Now from here, I'm gonna go ahead and swing well out to the right with my path. So now my ball should fly pretty straight. What's happening is my right shoulder's getting a little closer to my body back here. My hips are gonna have to bump forward a little bit, and now I'm creating room to swing out to the right. So you can see how my right shoulder's pretty close to my body, and it's almost like my shoulders are going this direction as I'm rocking them back and through. Another good feeling for this is, imagine taking this butt into the club, just like I'm lined up to hit this direction. Take the butt into the club this way and swing over your left shoulder as you come on through. That's extreme, but I want to be extreme at first. So here on day 2, I'm going to really exaggerate, get that ball 45 out to the right, you know, way out there. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. Again, I can't cheat with my feet. I can't just line my feet up over there. I got to go ahead and adjust my body angles. Now here on the one on the left, let's go ahead and say that's about straight. I'm going to knock it way over here into the trees. Line my feet up straight, and just like I had to put the one that I swung to the right, the ball way back, now I'm going to put that ball way forward. So if we're looking this direction, that ball is going to have to be up here because I'm going to swing really over the top of this one. Line my feet up straight ahead, ball forward, and now from there, I'm going to feel like I'm really coming across that ball. And I want to go ahead and hit it basically just straight left, what would be into those trees. There we go, right into the trees there. Again, it's not going to be a pretty shot. It's actually going to be a really ugly shot. But I want to get that exaggeration. What you'll find, you'll be able to do one of these really easy. If you're an over-the-top player, you'll be able to swing left very easily, but it may take you 30 minutes to learn how to get that one to swing out to the right. It won't be easy. We won't be able to just do them right off the bat like that. But that's the reason we practice this. We got to get these big time extremes first, and then we can tone it down from there. So that's day 2. Day 3, we're going to take out another bucket of range balls. Let me go ahead and get pretty straight ahead here. Day 3, we're going to work on both face and path. So now I had the momentum of my face closing down in day 1, getting that face to really turn on over, to close down like this. I had my path to go to the right in day 2. This is going to be our big draw, or a hook. I'm going to let you play the ball a little bit back in your stance. I'm actually going to let you close your stance a little bit. We're going to cheat a little bit here on day 3. And then we're going to go ahead and swing to the right and really roll that face. It may take you 30 or 40 balls to get one to do just like you want to have happen. That's okay, but we're going to hit a handful of balls where we get this to first draw. So I'm going to swing to the right. Again, that feeling I'm coming over here. I'm tilting my shoulders, and then I want to get that face to roll on over with momentum, and I'm going to play a big draw. There we go. I don't know if you could see that one. That one started a little to the right and then really hooked, probably a 20-yard hook on an 80-yard shot. So big time turning over. As soon as I get one to turn over that way, I'm now going to flip it around. Again, I'm getting control of the face in these extremes because I'm never going to have all the control I want. I'm always going to have to adjust. I'm going to take, someday I'm going to be out there, you know, just got off 3 rounds in a row in the 60s, and I'm going to take a swing and the ball is going to go somewhere completely different than I thought it was going to, and I'm going to have to get it back on track. Or I hit a couple of balls out of bounds and I have to get it back on track. Now let's go with the fade. Open up that stance a little bit, ball a little bit more toward the front, swinging to the left, face a little bit open. Again, I'm going to get that forward shaft lean so that I keep that fairly low. As we open up the face, it adds some loft to the club. So I don't want to make this ball go way up in the air. I'm going to go ahead and keep it a little bit lower as I do that, and I'm going to keep on working on this. You may feel like your hips open up a little bit more, almost like this hip is going out of the way. The shoulder's coming out of the way. That's going to help you to get the path more to the left. There we go, and that ball faded. I'm feeling like that face is staying open as I'm coming on through there. Really started to kick off to the right there at the end. So that's day 3. We're getting both of these curvatures in together. As you get comfortable with these slow swings, if you can get some of them to turn over the direction you want it to, then you can go ahead and start to swing a little bit harder and harder throughout the rest of the bucket. But the key here so far is to just get that ball to go as extremely offline as possible. Now day 4, we're going to put these 2 things together. I'm actually going to add the final piece in day 5, but at day 4, I want to go ahead and now line up directly toward my target. Let's go ahead and put a stick out here in front. let's say that this is my stick. And what I'm going to visualize now on day 4 is that this is a wall. And from my ball, if I'm going to play a draw here, I'm going to start my ball. I want to imagine right inside of my ball there's a giant wall here. And it goes through this stick. This is all a big wall. Everything to the left side of the course is blocked off. So now I don't want to hook through that wall. I just want to set up a little bit to the right. I'm going to swing a little to the right, and I'm going to adjust how much I swing to the right and how much I roll the face based on how much that ball curves. So I'm going to take a little half swing here. I'm going to play a nice draw. It's okay to hit it to the right as long as it starts to come back. I just never want it to cross this giant wall that I'm talking about here. So let me go ahead and swing one. There we go, nice little draw. Came right back up to the wall. So if I'd gone any farther, that would have been a bad shot. It wouldn't have counted. As I get better and better at this, I'm going to be able to eliminate one side of the course. So go ahead and swing, and let's say that one, let's say for example, that I accidentally hit that one to the left. Well, now I got to know I'm going to do even more of that draw type motion. I'm going to swing more out to the right. I'm going to get my hands to roll on over. If you guys really struggle with this, if you go to the Top Speed Golf in our bonus series, this is for the All Access members of the website. We have a slice series that goes over exactly how to get rid of your slice and hitting these draw in a lot more detail than what I'm going over today. But after you've gone through that series, you've got to where you can hit that draw. We're going to come back here, and this is when we're going to be working on these drills. And then the same thing now, I'm going to go ahead and hit the fade side. So I'm going to start line up a little bit to the left, ball a little bit forward, and now the wall is here and that side of the course is eliminated. I'm going to get this ball to fade back a little bit. There we go, nice little fade. That's probably right against the wall. Depends on where I pick that out. But I could, depending on where I made that imaginary wall in my head, that would either count or not count. Well, I'm going to try to get at least 10 good shots on day 4. So it has a start to the right, draw back without crossing the wall, that's a point. Then I'm going to go to the fade. Same thing, it's going to go start left and never cross the wall the other way. That's a point. I'm going to get 10 total points. And now finally, with all of these shots, I'm going to go ahead and try to get my face contact correct. Whenever you hit off the toe with a club, if you make contact with the toe, what happens is the club starts to twist open a little bit, like that, as you make contact. And that actually spins the ball. If I go this way, that actually spins the ball right to left to where I get a little bit more draw. So when I'm hitting my draw shots, I want you to pay attention to trying to hit it a little bit more off the toe. Now ideally in the long run, we're going to hit them all dead center in the solid middle of the face. But sometimes we get in the habit of hitting too much off the heel or too much off the toe, and that's more feel than it is anything. Once we've worked through the Top Speed Golf system, we have the 5 fundamentals correct, we're going to be able to deliver that club squarely to the ball a lot. It's just going to come down to feel to kind of tweak if we're a 1/4 inch off the heel or a 1/4 inch off the toe. So on these, let's exaggerate not only hitting that draw, but I'm going to feel like I'm way over here off the toe when I'm hitting that draw side. And that should really help that ball to start to turn on over. We're going to do the same thing. So there, I drew it on over. I'm trying to hit these fairly short so we can see them on camera. You can hit them as hard as you want to when you're practicing. I do recommend to start out a little shorter though. But that one drew over, it didn't cross the wall. Everything's perfect there. I'm going to switch over to the fade side now. And again, this is day 5. And I'm going to go a little bit more toward the heel of the club. Now, I don't want to go way over here toward the hosel. That can get kind of dangerous if you start hitting the S words there. Just a little bit toward the hosel is good, maybe a 1/4 inch toward the inside of the face. That's going to help me to hit a bit of a fade. And again, you guys may not be able to feel this on day 1. You may not be able to feel this on day 5. But as you practice this over and over again, you get better and better at feeling the golf club and being able to control my face, my path, and where I make contact. So now I'm going to hit it a little bit off the heel. There we go, it faded back. Didn't cross over that stick. And I had a good shot there. So I'm going to do about 10 points there too, and I'm making sure that one was a little bit off the inside. So for the fades, a little off the inside, for the draws, a little bit off the toe. That's going to help it to move in that direction. So try those drills out, go out there and have fun with it. Be athletic, use your athleticism, and if you follow these drills, I promise you at the end of these 5 days, you're going to have better feel for your face and your path, and you're going to have better feel for the flight of the ball. Good luck. All right guys, I hope y'all really enjoyed this video. If you did, I got an even better bonus for you. If we want to get distance in the golf swing, we've got to get a lot of lag, and then we've got to let that lag go. Well, Well, I've got my #1 lag video. I'm going to play a preview of that here in a second. If you're on a desktop device, go ahead and click the link that pops up on your screen. If you're on a phone or a tablet, click the iCard that's somewhere on your screen right now. That's going to take you to where you can get instant access to that full video. Plus, you're going to get 5 videos from our Top Speed Golf system. Never going to cost you a dime. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Click that thumbs up button. That really helps us out. And also remember to subscribe. That way you'll see our newest videos. See you guys in the lag video. Hi guys, and welcome back. I'm Clay Ballard, and in today's video we're going to talk about one of the absolute worst drills for creating lag. It's a very common drill that I see. And in this drill, what we're going to do is we're going to set the wrist very early to create an angle of lag, and then we're going to try to hold this throughout the swing. It's one of the worst things that you can do to build lag. I'm going to talk about the science behind why this is the case, and I'm also going to give you a great drill to help you improve your lag, all in this video. Let's go ahead and get started. If I do it this way versus holding that position, exact same thing happens when we're building the lag in the golf swing. So what we want to do is throughout the swing, I want to have a very low and wide takeaway. So I'm not going to set my wrist early at all. If you look at a lot of the top players, you look at Adam Scott, very wide takeaway, not very much wrist set at all. You look at Rory McIlroy, you look at Tiger Woods. All these players are using a wide takeaway and not getting very much wrist set, so that later in the swing, as we start down, we can increase this wrist set, and we're really only going to max out this angle of lag for a split second in the downswing. Okay, so a 3-step drill here. Now, as we get started with this, I want to remind you that the fulcrum in this golf club for getting a massive amount of lag is right at the end of the golf club. This is where I